time for questions, comments, anything that's really been bothering you. Anything like that. I'm going to do my best to try and sort of catch my hands go up. Maybe we should introduce everyone quickly.
Yeah. So walking off right now is Jasmine Fife. I want to make sure we caught her. And Ahish. So we want to go left to right and Harvey Weisfeld, our guitarist. And all of the guitar work are original compositions by Harvey. Robin Steva is the photo montage, the images that you saw playing behind a couple of the pieces. And Melissa Noventa, one of our brilliant dancers with us. Jasmine Fife, once again, she deserves. Mikhail P. Original Venom, Mars. Comes through. At the far right, Kevin A. Hornsby. Next to him, Miranda Liverpool. Anna Takanova. Anna's new to our group, and we're really happy to have her with us. Adriana Yanuz-Yellow is next to Anna. And Amanda Patel. Yeah. And by default, that means I'm Charles.
Really?
No, Charles, please. And our moderators, come on.
So, anyone want to get it started, or should I get it started? Yes.
I'm just wondering about the choreography. It seems so organic, and I'm wondering about the process. How it unfolded.
No, Olga had to leave. So we only have one of the two ensemble choreographers with us. Olga Barrios had to leave, so she did a few of the pieces. So she can't speak for hers. But Kevin.
Okay. Well, there are other choreographers. So Adriana did some choreographic work as well, and so did Amanda. But Olga and I are basically like the co-lead choreographers for the project, and started from the very beginning with Charles. If it's organic, thank you very much. I'm big on dance being a human expression, and I thought when I was listening to some of the words and stuff from the poem and reading it, I let that feel how I would choreograph the sections that I did. Yeah, that's it. I mean, thank you. I wanted it to be organic, so it feels organic. Check. No.
You can go home and sleep well tonight.
But yeah, I mean, the process was just letting the dancers know what the impetus for the movement came from, or where it came from as it is to the poems. It was never easy, you know, as choreography is, right? It's having the great set of dancers that can actually do the work. So it wouldn't have been anything for me personally if they didn't put themselves in, if they didn't put who they are, their diasporic experiences into it as well. So I think that's also important.
Do Adriana or Amanda want to respond as well, or?
No, just thinking how complex it is to put together a show with artists with so different backgrounds and style. So this was very challenging and still
Yeah.
Mine's more of a statement. At the end of a lot of pieces, because the words were harsh, sometimes or the topics were harsh, I didn't want to clap, even though I enjoyed everything about it, and I did want to clap for that. But because of the words, sometimes I held back and didn't clap because of the topic. So I just
Want to clap now?
they are harsh words. I think, as Tema pointed out in the beginning, as the show opened up, the intersections between the personal experience of being in a family that happens to be a family of African descent and the pressure of society upon that family, which comes out of history, it's not an easy story to tell. And what drove me to write it, and I do say drove, was that it needs to be told. We need to come to grips with these very difficult aspects of how individuals live in the society, the history that has brought us to where we are. And oftentimes, I think, in Canada, we don't talk about what is the black experience. We seem to talk more about the Underground Railroad like Canada was the Free North, rather than its history of slavery. Rather than the fact that, when people came to Nova Scotia with the white Upper Canada Loyalists, they were promised land, which, they got crap instead. And of course, the poem about Birchtown is about a white riot in burning down a black community. Not many people know about this.
Thriving black.
That's right.
I think it's harsh, but I think for me, interestingly, is seeing the interconnectedness, seeing the realization that the African culture has intersected so many other cultures on so many levels. Flamenco and the Moors in Northern Africa. Look at jazz, you look at hip hop, you look at reggae, you look at candomblé, you look at Santeria, look at all these beautiful cultural expressions from across the world, and you see that being black is not just, first of all, not black, because this is brown. I was taught in school, because I don't look like that. But that's a different subject for conversation. But it's the connectedness of how the idea of who we are as a people, and Africa as an influence, is bigger than sometimes we want to talk about. And that for me is not harsh. I think that for me is the beautiful thing about it. When you can really get into those particular conversations of how the culture has influenced so many other people, even how we view others as well. Because a classic example I give is that a Caucasian Jamaican would never, they'd be upset. I'm Jamaican by birth. If you ever call them anything but that. That's their experience, it's the black experience, right? So, yeah, Angela. I'll talk first.
I guess I think we hope that the struggle that we as people of African descent have been engaged in, and those who work with us as colleagues, allies, friends, comes through. So most of the music you hear, I have to leave out the far piece, but most of the other music is influenced by African music. In the States these days, they call jazz America's classical music, which is what it is. And so when we bring you what we do this evening, we're talking about, despite the pressure at the end of all this history, we still push, and we achieve great things. But I understand you're interested not that.
I'd like to actually ask for a comment. I have the fine privilege of being friends with many of these people and related to one of them. So I get to hear things during the process. So I have a little question based on that I've never heard fully unpacked that I think also speaks to your comment, which was, Amanda, you really envisioned The Last Dance in Reclaiming Struggle as hopeful. And I know that there was sort of trying to figure out how to make it hopeful through the music, through the poetry, and through the dance. And I'm wondering if maybe the three of you who were involved in that, so Harvey, Charles, and Amanda, can comment on closing out this evening that spoke a lot of pain and struggle with this hopeful piece that still had painful words, and how that transition, why that was intended, that transition to hope, why that was the intention to leave off the piece.
This, you're talking about the last?
The last one, yes.
Because for me, yes, I have some black culture background, but for me what most speak, it's the experience of absence, the experience of displacement. So for this, at the end, much matter so much my Black culture background, but mostly my experience of being far from home, my experience of the diaspora, that of course I was not forced to come here, but in a way I lived in a system that it forced me to leave if I wanted to be dancing and exploring living by my art. So yeah, so this language, when I take it out, it's a lot about this, like how to live with this experience of letting it go. And I'm still getting figured out in my mind still, but I don't know.
Well, for me, I'd say that I think part of human experience and part of just life experience is facing adversity and giving birth to some newness, something fresh and new coming out of that adversity. So, I mean, the music that I composed working with Charles on the poetry, we'd get together lots of times to kind of jam. I really had to listen a lot to the words of those poems to really kind of let that music unfold from there. And yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that if we didn't have that sense of hopefulness and that sense of renewed life and possibility coming out of, you know, all these pieces, then kind of what would be the point? You know, that it's got to lead to something that is offering some new way of being, some new way of new consciousness. I know Joseph Campbell used to say, "May you find joy in your sorrows," and that's something that's always resonated very deeply with me. And I come from a background where my parents are Holocaust survivors, and one thing that I was always really that really struck me very deeply was the resilience that came from a lot of people, from people who'd suffered so deeply. The resilience to find the joy again in their life, to not just dwell on the sadness and the hardship and the pain, but to, you know, use that as being kind of the compost of something for something new to grow.
Yeah, for me, you know, we've workshopped many of these pieces before, and it's always trying to find how to tell the story. And to answer your question, you have to think of the piece that comes before, Lonely Women. These were four incredibly courageous women of African descent, which many people probably don't know too much about. Chloe Cooley, for example. You know, we talk about Governor Simcoe and his supposed eradication of slavery, which really didn't free a slave. It was because Chloe Cooley screamed about being sold into slavery. That's why he did it. It's the only reason it was brought to his attention, because a woman was being sold. So it's that struggle. And you know, and Harvey, Amanda, and I, we've worked with the piece to kind of look at the joy. Like when I remember Amanda, when she first put on all the colors, it was like, it took the piece in a whole other direction. It was kind of like, wow, that's true. And although the words are there, you know, it's easier to get caught into, oh, good God, he has another fight again. We're always fighting. But the colors that come from what Amanda brought to it really added, I think, a bit more of the lightness, the levity, the joy, the passion of fighting for freedom and just enjoying, living, you know, living and breathing and enjoying nature. It was quite a remarkable thing. Somebody up there got something to say. Oh, there's somebody here.
I just wanted to say that because I myself, I'm a spoken word artist from the islands of Trinidad and Tobago. I just came in today. And what I wanted to share is that it was easy to feel the connectivity between the poetry and the movement. And I say movement because it was more, yes, it's dance, but because of how emotional it was more of poetry in motion kind of thing, and it was lovely. And I felt that I needed to share that I think you're a fantastic writer.
Anyone else out there?
Charles, first of all, I have to say that I knew George in the 1950s. Very well. What's the collective? How did you come together? It's a very eclectic group.
Yeah, I don't actually know the answer to this one, which is strange.
Well, we came together as a series of conversations. The first two conversations one was with Kevin Ormsby. I first met Kevin at the Canada Dance Festival, which was having a conversation around diversity in dance. I think was more a topic, and some of us, Kevin and myself, and a few others, were trying to push beyond the idea of diversity. And so we had a really great time. Kevin presented a paper at it, and he also was dancing with Ballet Creole, so I was really impressed by Kevin's intellectual capacity, and then when I saw him dance, I said, well, I got to talk to this guy. See what's up. And he mentioned to me that he'd done work with Dwayne Morgan, another poet. And I said, wow, we should talk. And then I met Rob and Steva at an event that was hosted by Carfax, I think. It was called the Spring Fling or something like that. And it was a networking opportunity at 401 Richmond Street. And, we kind of said hi, and Robin was doing some really interesting work. The piece that got me the most that she was doing was just leaving a book outside to the weather and watching it fragment. And as it fragmented, the words were changing meaning. And when I write my poems, so if you buy the book, you'll see I fragment my words. They're not linear. They're not necessarily connected. They're broken up because I feel that's part of the experience. And then we got together. Anahita Azrahimi is another dear friend, an artist. You saw some of her video work, I hope, with In the Bedroom, the dance that you saw. She and I started talking, and then she brought in Olga Badio, and before you know it, wow, everyone just began to, Kevin brought in Miranda. I mean, after a while, you lose track. And what's really beautiful is that many of the dancers here work with each other in many different ways, in different programs, so they know each other very well. So when Olga came in, she introduced me to Melissa and Amanda. They were studying together at York University, and I remember driving up there one day to start introducing the work. And they kind of grabbed it. You can see what they've done with it. Jasmine, I can't remember when Jasmine came. Yeah, Kevin was through Kevin, and then Adriana was through Tema. Actually, Tema joined Adriana's dance class and was doing some research or something. Actually,
I was doing your work.
Yeah.
As I often do. Typing.
I paid a fair wage.
It's true. So I'm sitting there like transcribing diligently, and Adriana, I was paying her for dance classes, and she said to me, "What are you doing?" So I told her what, and she said, "What does your dad do?" And I told her, and she said, and I said something about the collective, and she said, "Well, why am I not a part of the collective?" And now she is.
Yeah. So Adriana brought in Anna, and I think I've covered everyone. No. Oh, Mikhail! Oh my God! Dear, Mikhail came through Kevin. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you forgot. And Harvey, right? Oh, sorry.
Well, you brought Harvey.
I brought Harvey. Yeah, Harvey and I, as Harvey mentioned, we just get together and we ad lib, we jam, we just kind of. I don't bring scripts sometimes. I just kind of go into space and say words, and he plays music. We have a grand time. And there's Rainer Sorgtrop as well, who you've seen down here. And Ryan and I have known each other for a long time, working in social housing around issues of anti-racism and so on. And he's been reinventing himself as a cultural worker with photography and video. And so one day I said, hey, you know, we're this group that's forming. We could really use your skills. Here you go. I hope that answers it.
There's somebody around here. Yes.
I found this piece very inspiring. What inspired the choreographers to do it the way they did? Was it a feeling or, yeah?
Wow.
For the imagery, it's inspired, I guess, through taking out information from between the dancers and the way they respond to the words and the music. So it's just working with all that feedback and wanting to punctuate elements and bring out other elements to punctuate the words, and it becomes a very much of a feedback system. It's like what I've learned from the collective is that everyone supports someone in some way, shape, or form, and it's going back to the word organic. It's very much that.
Yeah, I think for me as a choreographer, having had a wide variety of experience in the arts, that inspired me. So the idea of actually having jazz and poetry and having bodies and dancers in a space was just like, whoa. I mean, my newest thing to them when we were in rehearsal was, let's play. You know, and like, one of the things you saw with Mikhail pulling Miranda in and Live Forward, just literally, I was just like, I gotta do this. All right, pull her in. You know, and it came literally. It's like, you know, it came from playing. It came from the idea of just exploring what bodies and text and layering and music and all those things could do. And I think it should be pursued more by probably many artists in figuring out in this or that performance where those interconnectivities lie. I think because you know all the art is connected.
Who chose the music?
Oh, I did.
Very good.
When I write, I have music on all the time. And the choices are somewhat intuitive. The music strikes me and I say, wow, how do I figure out the spacing of the words? So some of you may have seen me carrying around a stopwatch. You know, I'm not an actor, I'm a poet. So I need to know the exact time to come in because I treat the voice as another instrument, and it's then my turn to solo, so to speak. And yeah, and it sort of reflects the interests. The only other area that, you know, isn't my choice other than the person I'm working with is Harvey's compositions, which, you know, when Harvey's stuff, it just moves me deeply. And, you know, it's been brilliant to be able to find some words to what he's been creating.
And the music is collective as well.
Yeah.
With some of the ACCM.
Yep.
Very nice.
So I think we have time to take one more. Is there anyone out there with a burning question?
I could have a quick question. In Resisting Slaughter, were you at all inspired by Oya? Or is that part of your... Or do you call it Oya? In Candomblé, in Santeria, she's called Oya.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
No?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes.
I have some elements there. I love working with elements. I always need to bring something to play on stage. And the fabrics got me a lot of water.
The first time she did it, she actually borrowed my Oya skirt from my Orisha costume. The first time we did this piece at Dancing Group, she actually borrowed my Oya skirt, which is similarly fashioned with lots of scars and colors.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to, first I want to thank the people who don't get seen in that back booth over there and our lovely stage manager who came in especially for this. I want to thank the collective for the amazing work that they are doing and that they will continue to do. And lastly, all of you, thank you for coming. Thank you for your insightful questions. And it's pretty easy to get these guys talking, but I think you got some really good thoughts out of them that hopefully they will all think to write about for the long little bit. WindInTheLeavesCollective.com is our website. You can find links to all of our social media information and things like that. Please sign up for the email list. There's sign-up sheets at the bar and on the front of house table. And there's chapbooks and other books still for sale. And thank you all.
We'd love for you to continue the conversation on those sites or webpage, Facebook. You know, drop us a line, throw us a question, throw us something in thought pattern of all this experience, and we'll answer. Someone will.
WindInTheLeavesCollective@gmail.com if you have any questions.